Hey, shalom, shalom. First of all, I want to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. Double honors to the apostle, elder bishops, the great millstone, rule well. Peace and blessings to you fellows, brothers, pushing this word, the truth, sincerity, Shvachnak. Coming back with another lesson through the spirit and power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak, Wadash. And today is going to be a little different lesson. We're going to go into, you can call it like a herbal class, if you will. We're gonna go into cayenne pepper. Now, this kind of just inspired me. I was doing some stretching, and just came into my mind do a video on cayenne pepper. So, Lord's will, you're edified, and that it may help you if cayenne pepper is the herb for you. You see what I'm saying? Now, cayenne pepper is not going to be for everybody, and this is not medical advice. Okay, this is not medical advice. We're going to go and do is we're going to just look at some sources of how cayenne pepper was used traditionally, okay, by people that use herbal medicine in the past and how they would treat certain diseases, okay, of the body with a simple herb, okay, cayenne pepper. As you can see here, now this is cayenne pepper. This is 40 heat units, so it's not that hot. It's more in the mild of heat units. You can get all the way up to 120, 90, but it's not necessarily you need to have the hottest one. Any of the cayenne peppers, and cayenne pepper really is just like a blanket statement for all the peppers. Habanero, serrano, bird peppers. You can pretty much use those in the same exact way. It just you need that heat element. That's what makes it a cayenne pepper. So really, cayenne pepper can be interchangeable with any other, even to a lesser degree, habanero. Because you do have some habaneros that are hot, and basically that's the property that what makes cayenne pepper such a powerful herbal medicine. Okay, a traditional medicine. So as we actually, while we're doing this lesson, because I sip on cayenne pepper, and certain brothers know I'll just start talking about cayenne pepper and how great it is. But just because the for the last couple of years, I've been definitely incorporating more cayenne pepper in medicinal dosages, and have even experienced the properties that we're going to go into some resources and read about. So as we're doing this lesson, certain brothers know when I do my lessons, I'm sipping some type of tea, and I'll speak about it every once in a while. But this is cayenne pepper tea. I use 1 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, which is a relatively high dose. Okay, so I use 1 teaspoon. I'll probably drink it maybe once or twice a day, or add it to my teas. Um, for, if you would guess, circulation. Okay, cayenne pepper is going to be a really good herb when dealing with any lack of circulation in the body, whether it's in the extremities, whether it's in the brain, whether it's in the stomach. Our body's function, there's the circulation is part of the body's function, and that's something that can be compromised. And cayenne pepper may help you if this herb is for you. It's not for everybody. Okay, so what I want to do is, because I can speak about it, but what I like to do also is kind of go into some resources. Now, this is, I would say, maybe one of my favorite books that I go to, and certain brothers have gotten this book through recommendation, right? It says the Modern Herbal Dispensatory, and just because it's a really basic book, it's not. It's kind of straight to the point, and they show you also, if you read the instructions, how to make a lot of these. They'll show you how to make tinctures. They'll show you how to make glycerins. They'll show you how to use powder herbs. They'll show you how to make salves. They'll show you how to make fomentations. They'll show you how to make poultices. Just depending on what herb, they'll talk about moist herbs, dry herbs. They'll talk about fresh herbs, how to use fresh herbs, how to use dry herbs. What are the differences? Just very vaguely and briefly, but I believe it's straight to the point. And then we'll read out of another book, okay? And we'll just go into what cayenne pepper was used for, and just some information about cayenne pepper, how that can may help you if this is something, okay, that you might need. All right, because we're coming to a time where the healthcare system, Esau's healthcare system, is going to be, you're going to be met with a lot of restrictions, depending on how, you know, um, whatever laws that he passes, you're gonna have to bow down if you want medical. not medical information. Okay, but if you want medical help, we seen what he did like 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, how he shut things down. And if you wanted in certain of those cases, if you wanted medical attention, you would have to, you know what. So I say all that to say this: cayenne pepper is a great medicinal medicine that's around you that you can use for multiple different issues in the body. Okay, so let's go into this from this book, right? Capsaicin, right? That's the Latin name for cayenne pepper. Capsaicin is a major stimulant for the circulatory system. Okay, it increases circulation to every area of the body it comes in contact with, internally or externally. Capsaicin also strengthens the heartbeat. Now, I actually seen this. Um, how good is for how good cayenne pepper can be for the heart. Okay, I'm pretty sure you heard that. This is not what I'm saying. This is not what I'm saying. But there is a saying how cayenne pepper can stop a lob attack. I'll say that, a lob attack. Okay, and I've seen cayenne pepper actually calm down the heart when there's palpitations and hyperventilating, like almost instantly. Okay, when somebody's going through one of those tremor attacks. Uh, Capsaicin is useful for shock. See, it's useful for shock. They'll use it in cases you hit your head, concussion. Not some individual that's not breathing. Okay, panic attacks. That hit of that pepper kind of like shocks, and a lot of those issues are a lack of circulation to particular areas. Okay, so let me go. Let me go back. It says heart attack. So capsaicin is useful for shock, heart attack, and trauma because adequate blood supply is necessary for all tissues to heal. So that's why cayenne pepper is so great. And what it does is because it pushes forth adequate blood supply to any part of the body, and it stimulates it. It gets the circulatory system stimulated. Okay, when there could be an issue in the body where there's not a lot of circulation, whether it can be brain fog, whether it can be digestion, whether it can be muscles and joints. There's no blood going there. Cayenne pepper can speed up that process and help you in those issues. Whether it could be numbness, it could be loss of feeling. I've seen cayenne pepper help somebody with loss of feeling. Okay, they're starting to have more feeling in their hands, which they would be numb or they'll be tingling or they just completely lost the ability to move it. Okay, because it also will help with nerve supply. Okay, nerve damage because, and this is not medical advice. I'm just reading from the book and then what I have actually seen. Okay, I'm not saying none of this. You take cayenne pepper and you're just gonna start floating. I'm not saying that. It says because, and I'm not saying don't go to the doctor. All right, that's between you. Okay, because adequate blood supply is necessary for all tissues to heal. Capsaicin has earned a reputation in in the West as a kind of cure-all, and because it's so good for a multitude of different issues in the body. Okay, it is analgesic, which is a medical term meaning it's pain relieving. That's the medical term, analgesic. The capsaicin in the capsicum depletes substance P and thereby partially blocks pain receptors. Okay, so it helps with any type of pain in the body. It can be assistant according to this book, right? According to how cayenne pepper was used traditionally and why did people use cayenne pepper? They will use it for particular issues that now in modern terms we have different naming conventions, right? All right, it says a small part of capsaicin is commonly added to formulas, okay, made in the Thomsonian and psychomedicalism systems as an accelerant. So all you need to know about that is there's in different formulas that they would create, like a tincture formula or a tea formula for a particular issue. They'll add a little cayenne pepper in that formula to stimulate the formula so all the other medicines, All the other medicines can go to their particular areas that they're going to work on. So cayenne pepper is used as an accelerant to say you're drinking, for example, you're drinking ginger tea, right? Ginger for whatever you might be drinking for digestion. Ginger also you might be drinking it for circulation, right? You might be drinking for its anti-inflammatory and its analgesic qualities. Well, you can add a little bit of cayenne pepper in there, and it will basically increase to that amount of stimulation, and especially cayenne pepper because it works directly with the blood. Hence that it has that color, that red. Okay, that's why cayenne pepper is so great. All right, but you can use other peppers if you had to. You could make medicinal teas and tinctures. Okay, if you had habanero. Okay, if you had jalapeno. It just depends on how hot it is. Okay, and what you're going to get certain qualities out of that particular herb. Okay, and let me read you the warnings too, because again, like I said in the beginning, it's not this herb is not particular for everybody. Or you, certain people can use it in high amounts. Other people can't use it in high amounts, and certain people with certain conditions should not use it. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Let's read what this book has to say, and I will concur. All right, it says due to its irritating nature, some people have a hard time taking capsaicin or cayenne pepper, and I've seen that. Some people are just like, I can't deal with cayenne pepper. I can't deal with the heat, right? So say there's an individual that is has circulation issues, wherever it's at, even in the blood vessels, right? Um, and you want to warm that person up. Well, you can give them a lower stimulant like ginger. Okay, let me sip some of this cayenne pepper tea. Okay, it's gonna wake you up, especially when you take it hot. Now you can take it cold, and we'll talk about that. Lord's will bring that up. And if you want to, you can use some honey in it. It's not a bad chasing tea. Is this? You can take the heat. Now, also in this video, we'll try to make we'll do a tincture. We'll do a tincture really quickly. How to make a cayenne pepper tincture, and we'll talk about that because I have some of the tincture. So we'll talk about that. But I just want to go through a little bit more about cayenne pepper and how it was used traditionally, and then through maybe I don't know, maybe you might start incorporating cayenne pepper. Cayenne pepper. Okay, and I'll give some of what I would do if somebody if what I would do. I'm gonna give an example of how to take it. If I were to take it, this is how I would take it. I'll show you that at the end. Okay. It says large doses can be irritating to the stomach and cause painful bowel elimination. And if you take too much cayenne pepper, it's gonna jack you up. Okay. Don't go taking. You don't really take hot stuff like that, or you think you do. You drop a teaspoon, which most people can't take. But I'm just saying, you drink that, and especially you drink it too fast, and you have irritation down there. But don't do it. I did it. Okay. It can jack you up because I went high doses in cayenne pepper, and cayenne pepper is not a herb you want to do high doses in. Okay. Very small applications where you do a high dose cayenne pepper. Okay. Um, yep. It says although capsaicin stops bleeding, so it could be on a wound. If there was bleeding in a wound, it cauterizes that wound. Cayenne pepper you can put on that wound, but of course it would burn. Um, Although capsaicin stops bleeding and has been used to heal ulcers, and I tried with ulcers having very painful when you eat, like it's like open sores in your stomach. The lining is compromised, and bacteria sets in, parasites can be there, but you have a very inflamed stomach. The lining of the mucosal wall of the stomach is compromised. Cayenne pepper can, if somebody's dealing with ulcers, traditionally cayenne pepper could, certain people would take cayenne pepper for that issue. Other people would not take cayenne pepper for that issue. But it kind of seems counterintuitive because cayenne pepper can irritate, and cayenne pepper does irritate. But why would it help with a ulcer, and which is like a sore? You wouldn't want to put cayenne pepper on that sore, right? But just as you use it topically, you can stop bleeding. You can also stop bleeding and retoxification of that ulcer, okay, with cayenne pepper. That has been used for ulcers, okay. But it can, but for some people, don't do it because, or you have to do it in a very low dosage. Although capsaicin stops bleeding and is used to heal ulcers, this herb can cause pain when used for these purposes. Right. Hence, it should it should be used with caution. Right. Again, this type of the help with the use cayenne pepper to help you with an ulcer or any type of internal bleeding, you have to use it with caution. It does work, but you have to use it with caution because it is very irritating when it burns. Okay, it is best to start with extremely small doses to build up tolerance. When applied locally, capsaicin causes burning sensation in sensitive areas such as genitals, sinus, and eyes. It is not recommended for people with hemorrhoids or anal fissures. Topical use may exacerbate coughs caused by ACE inhibitors. If you're on some type of if you're on some type of medication, don't excuse me. I wouldn't recommend taking cayenne pepper. You start adding cayenne pepper to your life. You go, oh wow, cayenne pepper is so great, and then you're on medications, right? So you got to be very cautious with that when putting herbal medicine with medications. Um, they could react. Okay, so it calls it an analgesic, which is a pain relieving property. They also call it a carminative, which moves gas out of the body. So cayenne pepper can help with digestion as well. So you see how it's starting to add up. Oh wow, this thing can help with this, it help with that. So any type of like after eating, you always feel bloated. Yeah, that you might be gassy, or you just might have the bloat, right? Cayenne pepper helps move gas out of the body. I've seen people with trapped gas in their back. They have lower back problems, and the whole time is really a lot of constipation. Okay, but it was trapped gas in that back. So cayenne pepper added to actually moving the bowels, getting on herbs to flush out the gastrointestinal tract, right? You can use cayenne pepper as well to help move that formula to help move the gas out of that back. And I've seen people, they'll. There's a video with Terrence Crawford. There's a video with Terrence Crawford, the boxer. He talked about that, how why he stopped eating beef. And I've actually heard that from an individual when they eat beef, they'll start getting back problems, right? And then they'll stop eating beef, and then the back problems will leave, right? And Terrence Crawford said that's why I don't eat beef no more. But adding cayenne pepper can still allow you to eat the hypothetically still allow you to eat the beef. It was just you had a problem moving gas, and cayenne pepper can help you start moving gas out of the body. Okay, calls it a circulatory stimulant, a septic again because you can use it like like an antiseptic on the skin. Let's go. Why I like this book too because it'll tell you, you know, you can't really see it, but it'll tell you how the dose, right? 'Cause that's the big question. How much do I take, right? And that's what pretty much any herbal medicine you could be taking too less of it, right? You could be taking too less of it, or you're not frequent with your doses. So you think, oh man, am I experiencing something? I don't know. Is it working? I think it's working, and then you'll stop. You see what I'm saying? When you got to keep going. A lot of herbal medicines are used to be are you will use them in a tonic dose, meaning to actually strengthen a particular system long term, right? So again, I've been drinking cayenne pepper um, for the least the for the last 5 years pretty consistently, almost pretty much every day using cayenne pepper. Okay, and how it helped me is I used to be very super cold, really cold. I'm always cold. Cayenne pepper has heated up my body temperature, so I'll naturally walk around with a hotter, warmer body temperature, and I'm more resilient to the cold. So the cold doesn't affect me. I still get cold. Don't get it twisted. I don't like the cold. I'm not saying I'm Aquaman. What I'm saying is I noticed that cayenne pepper has increased circulation in my body has naturally warmed me up to where I used to get really cold hands, really cold feet, and that's a circulation issue. So that's something bad. That's something that's imbalanced in the body, and I noticed cayenne pepper has helped me tremendously on that accord, but other things as well. So they'll show you how to make the tincture, tell you how much of the tincture you should take, right? They'll tell you if you're doing it in a powder. So if you just have that powder form like me, right? And I want to get the properties of cayenne pepper, then I come down here and it says, okay, capsule and powder, 500 to 150 milligrams 3 times daily. Now I'm not teaching you out of this book. I'm just showing you how you would use a particular. You can use this for ginger. You can use this for aloe. You can use this for gentian root. How to read a herbal book, okay, and how to get the actual properties that you're looking for. They'll actually tell you how to do it. Okay, it says you got to do that 3 times daily. See what I'm saying? 2 to 3 times a day. You can adjust it, preferably with foods to buffer irritation. So this book is just kind of showing you. You don't have to get the book. That's not the point. Because you can get all this information. You go online, and they're going to tell you. But there's a lot of disinformation. So we're just adding my little experience that I had with me dealing with cayenne pepper and actually seeing cayenne pepper work on other people as well. And maybe that can help you. All right, so because you got to be your own healer. Well, we know the Lord heals us, but you got to know somewhat. This is like it's an herbal class, so you got to know somewhat how to use the herbal medicine. Okay, because that's the actual medicine from the earth. Where my scripture at? And this is all impromptu. Again, I was just stretching, and the Spirit said you got to do a video on cayenne pepper. Okay, so where am I going? Okay. The book of Sirach. Just bear with me. Okay, this is Sirach 38:4. The Lord has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them. See that? That's all. Let me read it again. Sirach 38:4. The Lord has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise would not abhor them. Okay? That's all we're going to get on that. So, we talked about cayenne pepper there. Let me just read you a little bit in this book, too. Again, I'm, also interjecting in, or I should say, adding to my experience with it. But if you do get an herbal book, they're pretty much going to tell you almost the same thing. And then again, you don't even need an herbal book. You have online resources, right? But this is the class just to show you how to get to those resources, how to kind of comb through and see what they're saying and how to apply it. Okay, so this book, you don't have to get this book. Don't get this book. Okay, this is more. You don't need this book. Get this book. If you're gonna get a book, get this one, but don't get this one. This is the School of Natural Healing. Okay, it's the 6th edition. It's a little bit more advanced book. I like the book, but it's somebody that's been practicing for a while, and then it's still kind of hard. All right, because there's certain he uses this medicine. He uses it in like pretty much all his formulas, and this is with Dr. Christopher. Okay, the School of Natural Healing. All right, so it talks about, he goes a little bit deeper into cayenne pepper and how to use it even on a deeper level. Okay, but you don't need the deep level. That's the deep level. Just continue to use it. Okay, if it's for you, not in high doses, right? But if a high dose is needed in a particular situation, you know that cayenne pepper could help you, right? Cayenne pepper is the purest and most certain stimulant used medicinally, right? And also as a condiment. This herb is great great food for the circulatory system. It feeds and eliminates that. It feeds, eliminates that may be lacking in the cell structure of the arteries. It's a little bit more technical in this book, okay, with the wording. Veins and capillaries to give them the elasticity of youth again. As a blood pressure, as the blood pressure adjusts itself normal, when the venous structure, now it goes in a little bit. I don't think you really need it. Let me just pick out some things. Right, it says cayenne regulates the flow of blood from the head to the feet so that it is equalized. Cayenne, as a stimulant, is an activator, carrier, and accentuator. So basically, again, if you're drinking like ginger, or you're drinking like a nettle tea, or you're doing turmeric tea, or whatever it is, basically cayenne pepper can be added to pretty much any tea, any beverage, to accelerate and to stimulate, all right, different parts of the body that you may need, or to stimulate and open up the blood so the nettle can go where the nettle needs to go, the turmeric can go where the turmeric needs to go, the cramp bark needs to go, the cramp bark can go where the cramp bark needs to go. Okay, those are all herbs. Okay, and then I'll just read you some medical uses that back then they would use it for. Okay, and how it was used. So that, like, again, this ain't medical advice. I ain't saying this is how you need to use this like this. I ain't saying that. I'm just reading out. I'm reading out of the book, right? And then again, we could go on online too, right? It's used also to arrest gangrene or mortification. Okay, so you got, your flesh, right? Gangrene. You getting gangrene. Back then, cayenne pepper was used as one of those herbal remedies to even help gangrene, right? Because we talked about how it closes up the wound. Okay. Arthritis. So cayenne pepper has also been used for individuals that have inflammation, because that's all arthritis is. Okay, is a type of inflammation, right? The tis at the end tells you that it's an inflammatory disease. Okay, it's been used for asthma, so individuals with chest problems, right? Because what, it opens things up. Okay, it gets things going more faster. Okay, it kind of like it turns them on, right? It's used as an accelerant, right? So then, if there's a flesh that's dying, or a piece of the body that's stagnant, when cayenne pepper comes in contact, it starts to what is it called? How did they use the word? Where is it? Accelerate. There we go. It starts to turn it on, right? It stops the death from that particular organ or a muscle. Okay. Where else? Let me just read a little bit more. Cayenne influences the heart immediately. I've literally seen this. Then gradually extends its effects to the arteries, capillaries, and the nerves. Okay, cayenne pepper is also a nerve herb. The frequency of the pulse is not increased, but it gives more power. It equalizes the blood circulation. Cayenne produces natural warmth and in stimulating the peristaltic motion of the intestines. It aids in assimilation, meaning the ability to actually receive the nutrients that you're eating, right? And elimination. So it helps with also eliminating toxins out of the body, right? Waste products. It builds the tissue of the stomach. It also, it says HEAL to the S, but I'm not saying that. Stomach and the intestinal ulcers. That's what that's saying, right? That's just out of the book. I think and it'll show you here how to use it, right? But enough of that. Let's go to, so you can see how cayenne pepper can be used in a whole host of different issues, especially in the winter. I increase my cayenne pepper in the winter because people that tend to be naturally cold, they'll get colder, and then you'll get stiffer muscles. I mean, a whole host of things can happen. Whole host of things can like catapult to other things just because your body is too cold. Okay, so cayenne pepper can be a very good ally, especially in the winter, to warm up those hands, to warm up the body temperature, to be more resilient to the cold, right? So what I want to do is say you get a cayenne pepper tincture. Cayenne pepper tincture works too. Cayenne pepper tincture is strong. Okay. Okay, this is cayenne pepper tincture. Let me show you the actual tincture right here. This is cayenne pepper. See how dark it is, right? You can use the cayenne pepper tincture. In that book, it even tells you what is the dose for. Traditionally, what would be the dose for cayenne pepper tincture? So, say you don't want to do the tea, right? And you want the cayenne pepper to be on you more mobily. You can do the tincture, right? And you just get. I don't recommend just you just take it and put it in your mouth. Don't do that. If you made the tincture the right way, it should be super hot. And especially depending on if it's 90 heat units, 120 heat units, 40 heat units is pretty hot. It's still gonna be hot, but it ain't gonna be the same if you do the same dosage of a 90 heat unit. So you can mess yourself up. So if you do the tincture, right? Because see, I have the tea. The tea is easy. You just pour hot water on it. You get the powder. You just pour hot water on it. Boom, that's easy, right? And then you can sip it like that as a tea. That may be too hot for you. Maybe you like the tincture, right? What I would do, I would start with 2 drops and a little bit of water, and then build up your tolerance from there. You go 5 drops, right to one milliliter, which is like 30 drops. That's the highest. I mean, that's not the highest dosage, but that's a pretty relatively high dose. And depending on how hot the cayenne pepper is, it's going to be like a spicy water. Now, cayenne pepper has a tendency to open up this area here, so you might even experience your eyes might water. You may have mucus stuff come out of your nose. Your body temperature is going to rise, right? Some people can have a reaction like that. Depending on the dose, it's going to gradually raise your temperature, but you'll feel it. But some people, they get like that rush, and they can like really feel it depending on the dose. Now the tincture is powerful, so you can do 1 milliliter and you can sip that. So it's comparable. Okay, I wouldn't just directly put the cayenne pepper tincture in my mouth. I don't do that. I have people that did do that. Don't do it. Okay. Now if you do it, that's you. So let's just make a quick tincture. Okay. Let's just make a quick tincture. How would you make a cayenne pepper tincture if you wanted to do the tincture? All right. Now I like to measure everything out. All right, and we're gonna do a 1 to 5 ratio. So for every 1 ounce of dry herb, we're gonna use five fluid ounces of the alcohol. Okay. What they call a hydroethanol, which is water alcohol mix. So we're gonna do a water alcohol mix tincture. Okay, so I weighed it out. I'm not gonna make a big one. And what I want to do is we'll do let's do 1 ounce. So I'm only going to do 1 ounce. So the final volume of the tincture, I'm only going to get 5 ounces of this tincture if I do 1 ounce in a 1 to 5 ratio. And I don't want to make a lot. I already have cayenne pepper tincture, but just demonstrating purposes, say you only do 1 ounce, and that's great. Just, you use cayenne pepper in a low dose, so you can just try 1 ounce of cayenne pepper, and guess what? You can get that at the grocery store. You don't even need to go to a herb store. You can get it at the grocery store. So I did that's 1 ounce, right? And then I'm gonna change this. You can either do it in a measuring cup. I like doing a measuring cup, but just I don't have my measuring cup on me, or do I like to measure it out, but I'll measure it out on the scale too. They have the fluid ounce. So I measured 1 dry ounce of cayenne pepper, and now I'm about to measure out 5 fluid ounces of this. This is going to be 45% alcohol, so you can use anywhere between really 30% alcohol, 30%, On dry cayenne pepper, I wouldn't use anything more than 60%. You don't really need it. 65%, you can do that. But don't use 95%. You don't need to make 95%. That's too much. You can cut that with water and bring it down to 45%, which is going to be a good balance, right? So 5 fluid ounces. Okay, 5 fluid ounces, right, of a 1 to 5 ratio of 45% alcohol. So you see that. I'm gonna shake it up. But make sure the cap is on. Also, keep this away from children. Keep this. Make sure it don't drop. Make sure it's not in a place where somebody can open it up and don't know what it is, because this can really mess you up. This is super powerful. Okay, get in your eyes, get in your mouth. You don't want that. Okay, especially young children. So you keep cayenne pepper away from them. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna label it, because you're gonna. And I know a lot of you already know how to make tinctures, but those that don't know how to make tinctures, and you want to try a cayenne pepper tincture, and you can use any type of alcohol. It really doesn't matter. Most people use a vodka because it's like neutral, but you can any alcohol that had that percentage you could use. Okay, you can use a brandy, but it's gonna make the tincture taste different because you're gonna have that brandy taste. But if you had to, is that all you had? You can still do it. So I'm gonna label it right. You label everything cayenne pepper, or I'll just call it cayenne, right? And I know it's a 1 to 5 ratio. Now, say you don't have right. Say you don't have the scale, and you still want to do it. Get a jar, pour the cayenne pepper, maybe pour a good amount, and then pour the rest of alcohol on top of it. So maybe like a 60% alcohol, 40% cayenne pepper powder. You just eyeball that. It's still gonna work. Okay, so if you don't have a scale, you don't have to be like, oh, I don't have a scale, I can't do it. Just pour about 40% cayenne pepper in that jar, maybe even less, and then pour alcohol on top of it. Right? And then you just use it as that, like that. So I know that's a 1 to 5 ratio. So I know how much cayenne pepper I'm gonna get in a 1 to 5 ratio. So I'll know, okay, in order to receive this medicinal dose of cayenne pepper, where I would have to do this amount, right? In a 1 to 5. I know how powerful each drop is, right? But you don't really need to know right now. But I like to, show some do videos on standardizing, so you know how much of the product you're gonna get, right? You don't know if it's weak. Sometimes you don't know if it's super strong, or if you're getting enough of the herbal medicine here with the ratio, you'll kind of know what you're getting, okay? And then you're just gonna do the date. Today is, I believe, the 8th. Gotta be the 8th. 25. 2025. Didn't think we were gonna be this far, but we here. All right. So let's to finish this tincture. Because if you're making multiple tinctures, right, you don't want to mistake this tincture for another tincture. So you always label your tincture. See that with the date, and then every day, every other day, shake it up. Boom. You can do. It will be ready. It'll be ready in 2 weeks. Don't do 2 weeks. Do 4 weeks. But if you had to emergency, you could even use it in a week. If you just had to make that tincture, okay, really can even use it a lot sooner. But I wouldn't use the tincture in that application, right? I would use the powder. But in 2 weeks, if you had to use it in 2 weeks, you can use it in 2 weeks. But I would do 4 weeks, max 6 weeks. And you let that sit and you shake it every once in a while. Now, the last week that you're gonna make this tincture, since we made it with powder, it's gonna be hard to filter out the alcohol from the powder. So what you do is the last week that you're going to shake it. So say you go 5 weeks, So you've been shaking it 4 weeks. On the fifth week, you don't shake it no more. And what we want to do is, I'm gonna show you two examples. Okay, so this is a myrrh tincture. So what's gonna happen is everything's gonna settle to the bottom. So the cayenne pepper will like settle to the bottom. This is what you see with the myrrh, right? Now a few days ago I started making this. Okay. Now if I pour, you're gonna see a lot of the powder is gonna come. See, the powder is also gonna come with the tincture. You don't want a cloudy tincture, right? So the last week that you're gonna shake it, or before you open it up, let it sit. Don't touch it. Let everything sink down to the bottom, right? Now I have this tincture right here. This is ginseng. Now you'll see it's been kind of sitting for a couple days, and I haven't agitated it. So you see when I'm pouring this tincture out, you see what I'm saying? Pretty much the powder at the bottom stays there. So it's way easier. Now if I leave it upside down for a long time, obviously some of it's gonna come out. But you can get a good portion of that tincture without any of that powder. So you have a clear tincture, right? That's how you do it. You just let it sit. Just let that sit down, let it cake up, and then when you do your filtering, you will have to filter less of the powder because a lot of the powder would absorb that tincture, and you're gonna have a very small amount of tincture, right? So shows you how to make the tincture. Boom, boom, boom. Just put it somewhere. Don't put it in the sunlight, and it'll be ready. I would say in 4 weeks. Okay, so maybe the third week you don't touch it. After the third week. Now, also, like in the books, they were talking about cayenne pepper topically. So what I have here also is some cayenne pepper salve. And say you needed circulation topically, right? You wanted to warm the body up topically, or the particular pain area, um, a loss of circulation in particular areas of the body, right? Even loss of circulation in the hair area. Cayenne pepper has been used for that. Anywhere you want to warm up the body, be it bad hips, tight back, you can use the cayenne pepper salve or cayenne pepper oil, right? Or cayenne pepper oil. You'll make this is actually a mixture of oil. There's two herbs, there's lobelia and cayenne pepper. But this is pretty much how the oil is going to look. And then with the oil, you can make a salve by adding the beeswax. Maybe I might do a video on that, but how to use cayenne pepper topically as well. Okay, I showed you the tincture. This is the tea. Okay, let's talk about again, just kind of going back over. Certain people don't use cayenne pepper, or if you are going to use cayenne pepper, start very low, right? Say if you were going to use cayenne pepper for whatever issue in the body, start very low, and then start to add cayenne pepper a little bit, increasing it a little bit more. I just wouldn't just go in and take a whole bunch of cayenne pepper because you think it's good for whatever issue you're dealing with, and you want to rectify that issue fast. The body takes time to come back to balance. So I'll start with a very low dose of cayenne pepper, then I would increase that cayenne pepper. But cayenne pepper should be considered a long-term herb that you take for a particular issue. Because if you take it, it's not just gonna all of a sudden you Superman, you know. Now there's it gets to a point to where you have to maintain proper balance, and cayenne pepper is like one of those herbs that will just help you maintain balance within your body, right? It'll help you with many different issues, diseases of the body, and knowing how to use cayenne pepper can, I mean, it can save you a lot, right? It can save you a lot. Again, let me read the scripture again, because this is the thing. The modern way of doing things, that's modern, right? Dealing with issues, that's literally modern. That's within the last 200 years. Now you had even the Romans back then. They wish they had what they had now, as they are, coming back. But they dealt with the herbs back then. Okay, so the history of cayenne pepper goes way deeper to any of that pharmakia. Okay, I've seen cayenne pepper help people, right? Sirach 38:4 says, "The Lord has created medicines out of the earth, and he that is wise will not abhor them." Okay, so you're gonna receive them. You're not gonna abhor them. Oh, I don't want to do, and that's the one that's literally for you. That's gonna help you out. Okay, I think that's everything. We made the tincture. I'll show you how to make the tea. How to use the powder. Same thing. If you're dosing it with the powder, you would dose. You'll start with like maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon, right? And then you'll add 1/4, and you'll build up from there. But maybe your dose is just 1/8. You don't need a lot. You don't need a lot for cayenne pepper to work, right? You just need it as a stimulant. But certain times you might need more than somebody else, right? So just adjust your dosage and don't go overboard with cayenne pepper because it is a powerful medicine, and um, the things that it does is that's all I'm gonna say on that. I think that's all I got. All I got. Um, I believe so. Just to make sure I got everything else. I believe so. Hey, Allah Yabashmashat. Shalom, shalom.